Good afternoon, and welcome to Martin MPO's 2045 Long Range Transportation Cost Feasible Plan Virtual Open House. My name is Beth Soka, and I am supporting the project with public involvement and community outreach. This is the first of two virtual open house presentations. The second is scheduled at 4 p.m. immediately following this virtual meeting. Both meetings will have the same presentation and information. Also, residents may attend in person at the Blake Library, located at 2351 Southeast Monterey Road in Stuart. Public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. There are several ways to participate today. You may use your computer audio or telephone audio. To be a part of the webinar, you had to pre-register. For those of you listening on your telephone, in order to speak and participate, you will need to enter the webinar through the free GoToWebinar app from the Apple Store or Google Play Store. We would like to notify you at this time that the meeting is being recorded. The recording and presentation slides will be available on the project website, www.martininmotion.com, beginning Wednesday, June 10th. Questions and comments will be taken following the presentation. We have two ways to ask questions or provide comments during the virtual meeting. If you wish to provide the comment or question directly, you can use the raise your hand icon located on the right side of your screen. We will unmute speakers in the order we see the raised hand. If you have self-muted, please remember to unmute to speak. If you prefer to have your question or comment read during the meeting, please type the information into the question box located to the right of your screen. We will read the questions and the team will help answer them. If you are using a telephone, please do not place us on hold, as we will hear your hold music. Before we begin today's agenda, we would like to ask you to answer two questions. These questions will appear on your screen. Please click your answer. This helps us with our project record keeping. Question 1. How many individuals are participating in this webinar with you? Please select 1. I am attending alone. 2, 3, 4, or more. Question 2. Where do you live? Stuart, Port Solano, Palm City, Jensen Beach, Ocean Breeze, Rio, Sewells Point, Jupiter Island, Hope Sound, Indiantown, or outside of Martin County. Thank you for answering our questions and participating in the virtual workshop. We would like to take the opportunity to introduce the project team here today. Beth Beltran, MPO Administrator, Bolivar Gomez, Senior Planner and MPO Project Manager, Vikas Jain, Consulting Project Manager from TY Lin International, Joe Yesbeck, Project Principal from TY Lin International, Peter Dobbins and Nanette Rodriguez, Public Involvement, Quest Corporation of America. I will now turn the presentation over to Beth Beltran for her opening remarks.
Hi, thank you, Beth. It's very good to be here, and I'm so glad you all could join us. I'm either in person or by phone. We are very excited to be presenting the cost feasible plan of our 2045 long-range transportation plan. We started this project about a little over a year ago, and we progressed through a number of phases, starting with working with the state and our regional partners on the transportation model, which is the basis of this plan. And then we moved ahead with developing a public involvement plan as well as goals and objectives. And last month, we were fortunate enough to get the MPO board to review and approve the needs assessment for the 2045 long-range plan. And now we're here for the cost feasible plan. So I will turn the mic over to Vikas Jain. He is, as Beth Zoga said, the project manager for TY Lin International, and he'll tell you about the cost feasible plan. Vikas?
Thank you, Beth. I'm Vikas Jain. As Beth mentioned, I'm with TY Lin International. I'm leading this effort as project manager for the consultant team. As you see on your screen, main agenda item this afternoon is to discuss the 2045 cost feasible plan and get your input and feedback. I'll also touch on public involvement and outreach activities that we have conducted to date before I get into the draft cost feasible plan and we open up for a public comments and Q&A session. So we have, I have framed this presentation in a Q&A format. What you see on your screen is a list of questions. I may have skipped a slide. So as we conducted extensive public involvement and outreach activities over the past year or so. We hosted 3 public open houses in early October at different locations spread throughout the county to gather input, and some of you may have participated in these open houses. We also conducted in-person and online surveys as well as interviewed elected officials. In addition, we presented project information at focus groups and did some targeted outreach as well. Our team also rolled out a project video and a website to promote Martin in Motion 2045 LRTP effort. I encourage you to visit the project website, www.martininmotion.com, to stay engaged and get updated information on this project. I have framed this presentation in a Q&A format so that it is easy to wrap our heads around the LRTP process as well as better understand the different pieces of this plan. As I walk you through the rest of this presentation, I'll provide answers to the 8 questions that are on the screen. Basically, it boils down to where are we in the planning process? What is the LRTP development process? What are Martin County's long-term mobility needs, and how much does it cost to implement these needs? On the other hand, how much money is available to build these projects? How will different projects be selected for implementation, and what's included in the cost feasible plan? And finally, I will wrap up with the timeline to complete the 2045 LRTP. The graphic on the screen here shows the LRTP development process. We started the planning process with developing a robust public involvement plan, which includes a variety of different techniques to engage the public and stakeholders, get their input that I just mentioned a minute ago. In addition to these public engagement activities, we conducted a variety of technical analyses that is highlighted in the orange boxes to develop the 2045 cost feasible plan, which is what we will be discussing this afternoon. So the process, as Beth touched on this, started with putting together a needs plan based on needs assessment. The needs assessment in turn comprises of various components that are shown on the slide. It is a combination of data-driven technical analyses, previous studies completed by the MPO and its partners, as well as agency coordination and internal and external coordination, including public input. So based on the needs assessment, the project team developed the 2045 needs plan, which includes multimodal projects to enhance mobility, accessibility, and safety for Martin County residents and visitors. On the top left is the Martin, MARTI, the county's fixed route and paratransit services. We included more than 12 roadway projects, 15 SIS, short for Strategic Intermodal System projects that overlap with freight projects. Also included more than 25 Transportation System Management and Operations, or TSMNO, or ITS, which is short for Intelligent Transportation System projects, as well as 3 park and ride facilities, water taxi service, and an extensive network of complete streets and non-motorized projects. What is the cost of all the transportation projects that are needed in Martin County over the next 20 years? And this slide shows the total cost of those multimodal projects that I just summarized. We need approximately $1.7 billion in year of expenditure. Year of expenditure accounts for inflation or value of money over time. If all these needs projects were to be implemented today, it would cost a little over $1 billion. So the key question here is, how much money is available to meet the county's transportation needs? As you can see on the slide, a total of $912 million is available from local, state, private, and federal funding sources to implement these projects. In addition, on the right-hand side of the screen, you see some discretionary funds that are available from Florida Department of Transportation through various programs. These discretionary funds are available at statewide or district-wide level or regional level, for which Martin MPO has to compete to secure funding. A total of just under $2 billion is forecast to be available over a 20-year period for implementing projects from the discretionary sources. In the past, Martin MPO has been successful in tapping some of these discretionary monies. These charts on your slide show a detailed breakdown of funds available from local, state, federal sources that were included on the previous slide. You can see how revenues from state, local, and federal sources grow over time. Our local revenue forecast, which is on the top left corner of your screen, was reviewed by the county's Office of Management and Budget. They provided input on wages assumptions that are built into forecasting revenues from these sources. And these numbers are reflective of the impact of COVID-19 situation to some extent, as it relates especially to fare box collection and local fuel taxes. We are allocating revenues for the last 3 time bands, even though the charts here show revenue forecast from 2020 and 2021 to 2025. Our job through the LRTP is to allocate funds for the time period from 2026 to 2045, since monies have already been programmed for the first 5-year time band, which is the Transportation Improvement Program, TIP. Now, local funds comprise county and municipal sources and have very specific requirements of how funds can be programmed for various transportation improvements. For instance, impact fee revenues can be used for roadway, sidewalk, and bicycle lanes, but not necessarily for transit. Fuel taxes, on the other hand, are a little more complicated in that some funds can be used to support transit operations and capital improvements, while other on roadways, sidewalks, and bicycle lanes. Federal funds shown on the top right-hand side are dedicated for transit operations and capital improvements only. These funds are received directly by MARTI from the Federal Transit Administration. Similarly, state funds have restrictions as well on how they are used to fund transportation improvement projects. In addition to the local, state, and federal funding program requirements for allocating revenue for various projects that I just mentioned, you clearly see that there's a mismatch between project cost and funds available to implement and build all the multimodal projects that are needed in the county. As you can see, the funds that are the need is twice as much as the funds that are available. To handle this, we prioritize projects, and what you see on your slide is the roadway projects, which are non-SIS, non-strategic intermodal system projects that we prioritized through the LRTP process. We used 15 different criteria such as travel time, reliability, safety, environmental justice, as well as we gave extra point to projects if that project was located in an area that was vulnerable to flooding due to sea level rise or extreme weather events, was in and around a community redevelopment area or CRA, or if it overlapped with a hurricane evacuation route. The table shows currently funded project at the top in green, which also includes a privately funded project, Village Parkway Extension, and also shows projects that are in the top 4 tiers, tier 1 through tier 4. Funding was allocated based on this priority tiers. So let me explain what a cost feasible plan is before I get into specific projects that are included in the 2045 cost feasible plan for Martin MPO. Cost feasible plan is a financially constrained plan. This plan includes multimodal transportation improvement projects that can be funded through the revenue stream or the funds that are available over the plan period, in this case, from 2026 to 2045. At this time, I'll walk you through mode-specific projects included in the 2045 draft cost feasible plan. Before getting into specific projects, just a quick overview of the total cost of projects that are included in the cost feasible plan. As you see on the slide, a total of $840 million worth of projects have been programmed through the LRTP. The pie chart on the right shows a breakdown of funding allocated for different modes or categories. Approximately 67% or 2/3 of the funds are allocated for roadway improvements, while 33% or 1/3 of the funds are allocated for TSMNO, park and ride, complete street, and transit projects. So now I'll get into mode-specific projects that are part of the 2045 draft cost feasible plan. First off is transit projects. The map shows MART's existing fixed route service. We were able to fund the existing MARTI transit and paratransit service for a total of $81 million over a 20-year period. In addition, we have funds to ensure new buses or rolling stock can be deployed to maintain state of good repair, as well as some bus stop improvements and a new park and ride facility. We also included Virgin USA Brightline Station, which is a private sector funded project. The unfunded needs for transit include MARTI's service expansion, which includes new routes, Saturday service, mobility on demand service. We are not able to fund these projects, unfortunately, due to lack of local funding available for operating transit service. Similarly, the unfunded capital improvements include new buses required to support expanded service, as well as new operations and maintenance facility and an intermodal hub. Further, the downtown Stewart tram is also part of the unfunded needs. In the past, this service has been supported through local funding and FDOT's Florida Department of Transportation's Service Development Program that provides funding for demonstration projects for up to 3 years. It is likely that this funding may be available in the future, but we wanted to be conservative at this time, and so we pushed this project in the unfunded needs section. Cost feasible roadway projects are shown on this map. These projects cost approximately $374 million over 20 years. Projects include 3 PD&E studies, which is short for Project Development and Environment Studies, and State Road 714 Martin Highway Construction Project, 2 safety projects, Federal Highway at Joanne Jefferson Way, as well as Martin Highway Realignment Project, 7 roadway widening projects. The top 5 here are projects that widen the roadways from 2-lane to 4-lane, while Federal Highway and Martin Downs Road are expansion projects from 4-lane to 6-lane. We also included 2 new roadway projects, and I mentioned Village Parkway Extension, which is a privately funded project. On the strategic intermodal system projects, these projects are included in the cost feasible plan for a total of approximately $188 million. They are programmed by Florida Department of Transportation. These projects include, as you can see on the slide and the map, project development and environmental studies for I-95, highway capacity improvements on State Road 710 and I-95, as well as a safety project at Monterey and FEC Mainline. Also listed on the slide are unfunded projects, 2 fixed guideway projects on Federal Highway and 710, transit hub in Indiantown, and some highway capacity improvements on Turnpike, I-95, and 710. In the other projects category, we were able to fund 3 park and ride facilities at a cost of $6 million approximately, as well as partially private funded non-motorized grade separation project, pedestrian bicycle bridge project in downtown Stewart. Also included is another private sector funded project, which is double tracking FEC rail bridge over St. Lucie River. We were not able to fund the non-motorized grade crossing project in Golden Gate. The freight projects overlap with the strategic intermodal system projects, SIS projects. In addition to those projects, and therefore the cost mirrors the cost of SIS projects, which I shared on the previous slide. In addition, the strategies for reducing railroad trespassing SRRT pilot project, which includes safety improvements along railroad corridor, is part of the cost feasible plan. On the unfunded freight needs side, you have the SR 710 bypass, a new facility, US 1 corridor retrofit project, as well as connected freight priority system deployment, which is an automated connected vehicle ITS project. We have set aside approximately $69 million over a 20-year time frame to address traffic congestion along various roadway segments as shown on this map. In all, there are 29 roadway segments along 20 travel corridors. In addition to that, we have ITS infrastructure projects, which is equipment that would be installed at intersections, as well as 6 projects from the I-95 that come from the I-95 master planning effort that is underway, again, as part of the cost feasible plan. An extensive network of complete streets and non-motorized projects shown in the maps to the right has been funded at approximately $99 million. This includes 17 complete streets projects, approximately 15 miles, 33 miles of sidewalk, and a variety of bicycle facilities and multi-purpose trails and greenways that are shown again on the map and enumerated here on the slide. In addition to the $99 million, these projects can be implemented as part of regular roadway maintenance projects, as well as through some of the discretionary funding programs I mentioned earlier in the presentation. This slide shows a close-up version of the map on the previous slide. I won't dwell on it. I'll leave it up for a second so that you can take a look at it. We were not able to fund the water taxi service identified as part of the needs plan due to lack of local funds. However, we did find monies to support a feasibility study, which would be a first step to establish any type of water taxi service in Martin County. Also included in the cost feasible plan is aviation projects at approximately $4 million. These projects are consistent with the capital improvement plan that the airport has put out. Last but not the least, we included 2 resiliency projects on Sewell's Point Road and Southeast MacArthur Boulevard as part of the cost feasible plan. These projects can be funded through Federal Emergency Relief Program. So our next steps include addressing your comments from today's open house session, presenting the draft cost feasible plan to the MPO policy board on June 15th. We'll continue public outreach, complete technical analyses and documentation before presenting the final cost feasible plan to the MPO committees and policy board in the fall of this year. From a project schedule standpoint, we are anticipating the MPO policy board to adopt the final cost feasible plan, the 2045 LRTP, in September 2020. Thank you for your attention. At this point, I will open up for public comments Q&A session and turn it over to Beth Zoka.
Thank you very much. At this point, we'll look for raised hands and you can ask your questions. We did have a question or a comment actually in the question box. So thank you, Stacy, for putting in the answer to your poll question. We appreciate that and we have received it for our record. So thank you very much for typing that in for us. If anybody has any questions at this time, we can unmute you and you can ask it or you can type it into the question box and the team is available to help answer at this time. I do not see any questions, but we will hang on for a bit in case someone does have a question. So if we do not have any questions, again, the team can hang on for a bit longer, but if we do not have any questions, we do thank you for participating in the webinar today. If you have any questions or comments following the meeting, you can send them to us, long-range-public comment at martin.fl.us, or mail it to 3481 Southeast Willoughby Boulevard, Suite 101. Again, the presentation and recording of today's meeting will be shared on the project website, www.martininmotion.com. And we ask that all comments come within 2 weeks. So if you could please get those into us and we will look forward to responding back to you. Thank you again for participating today. At this time, we are going to close this webinar and we will start the next webinar. Again, we appreciate your attendance. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We will be closing the webinar shortly.